Welcome to another Atlantis rail instructional video. Today we'll be installing the Nova 2 aluminum railing system on a level deck surface. First, let's take a look at the tools and safety equipment you will need to successfully install your system. Most tools you will already have, but a few specialized tools offered by Atlantis Rail may be needed when installing the cable. Upon receiving your railing order, make sure to locate the installation instructions and read them before you start your project. Having an understanding of how the system goes together will make installation easier with better results. It is also important to open each box and verify that all system components are present. Gather the posts and position them in their general locations per your plan layout. Post kits include a post pad with mounting holes and a center drainage hole, a post skirt, and a post cap. Posts are offered in standard heights of either 36-inch or 42-inch. Mark each post for the bottom rail brackets. The location of the mounting holes varies based on the heights of your posts. Detailed dimensions for the mounting holes can be found in the instructions. Mark the hole locations using a pencil and speed square. Drill the holes with a 5/32" drill bit. When mounting the post to the deck surface, it is critical that the mounting hardware used is fully secured into the structure below. Additional blocking may be needed in accordance with your local building codes. Keep this in mind when positioning your posts. Mark the location of mounting holes and the center drainage hole of the post pad. Pre-drill the mounting holes using a 1/4" drill bit. Use lag bolts to anchor the posts. The plastic cover nuts are used once the post is fully secured. With the holes for cable and fittings facing the right way, install the lag bolts using a ratchet or a driver. Either way, we recommend protecting the posts from scratching during this process. Use a level to make sure the posts are installed plumb. The use of post shims may be necessary. Install the plastic cover nuts. Use silicone caulk on the lag bolt heads before installing the plastic cover nuts. This will protect the hardware and decking against moisture. Don't forget to install the post skirts. Let's take a moment to view this virtual replay of the post mounting process before moving on. In order to cut the rails for your project to proper length, measure in between the installed posts and record the measurement. Rails come in standard lengths of 6 feet and are pre-drilled on center for installation of the cable stabilizer and support block. To ensure the centering of these components, trim must always be taken from both ends of the rails. To account for the top rail brackets, take an extra 5/8 inch off each end of the top rail. With your measurement centered on the pre-drilled cable stabilizer and support block holes, mark the rails with a pencil and cut using a miter saw with a non-ferrous carbide tip blade. Install the connectors for the cable stabilizer and support block onto the rails. Locate the pre-drilled holes in the middle of the underside of the top rail and on the top and underside of the bottom rail. Using the number 8 self-drilling screws, install the connectors on the top and bottom rails. Mark the deck surface and pre-drill for the support block base kit. Measure and mark a center line on the deck to indicate the center between posts. Measure from the edge of the deck to the center of the post, and transfer this measurement onto the deck by marking a line that intersects the center line between posts. This is where the support block base kit will be installed. Using the rectangular mounting plate from the support block base kit, mark the 2 hole locations with a pencil and pre-drill the holes with an 1/8 inch drill bit. Assemble and install the support block base kit. Using the supplied Phillips head screw, attach the rectangular mounting plate to the connector. To properly install the support block base kit, place the nylon gasket onto the deck surface and secure the support block base kit using the nylon washers and number 10 wood screws. Cut and install the support block. Using the dimensions in the instructions, measure and mark the support block. Then cut using a miter saw with a non-ferrous carbide tip blade. Insert the support block onto the connector. Here is a better view of how the support block base kit components are assembled and installed to the deck surface. To install the bottom rail, slide the bottom rail brackets over each end of the bottom rail. The counter bore holes in the rail brackets must face toward the center of the rail section. Secure the rail brackets to the posts using number 10 self-drilling screws. Then install the screw covers. Install the top rail and cable stabilizer. Install the bracket key with the counter bore holes facing out from the post using number 10 self-drilling screws. Insert the cable stabilizer over the connector on the top of the bottom rail, making sure the holes in the cable stabilizer are aligned with the holes on the posts. Slide the top rail with mounting brackets on each end over the installed bracket keys as you insert the connector on the bottom of the top rail into the cable stabilizer. Install the supplied button head screws into the holes on the sides of the top rail brackets using an 1/8 inch Allen wrench and install the angled screw covers. Using a 5/32 inch drill bit, drill a hole through the bottom of the top bracket and rail. Install the number 10 self-drilling screw to secure the top rail. Install the post caps by applying silicone on the top edge of each post. Set the post caps firmly into place. Take this time to review how the rail brackets are secured to the posts and rails. Please note the proper installation of screw caps and post caps, which offer a finished look. Now that the framework of your system is properly installed, it's time to run the cable. To determine the cable lengths for each section, measure from outside to outside of the outer post. Subtract the dimension listed in the instructions from this measurement to find the cut-to length for each cable. Cut and install the bottom cable run for each section. We recommend installing the bottom cable run for each section before cutting all the cables for the entire project. This allows you to make adjustments in case the cable winds up being too long or too short. Cut the cable for the bottom run to length. Hand swage a HandiSwage stud onto one end of the cable following the HandiSwage tool instructions. Locate the Nova 2 cover nut set. Each set includes plastic washers, tensioning nuts, lock nuts, and cover nuts. Insert the stud through the bottom post hole. Install a plastic washer and hand tighten a tensioning nut onto the stud, leaving a 1/2 inch of thread exposed. Run the cable through the cable stabilizer toward the opposite post. Hand swage a HandiSwage stud to the cable end. Insert the stud through the post and repeat the process of installing a plastic washer and a tensioning nut onto the stud. This should leave about a 1/2 inch of thread exposed. With the bottom cable run loosely installed and assembled to the correct length, cut the additional cable lengths and repeat the process to install the remaining cable runs. Cables are tensioning by using a cable grip pad with vice grips to hold the cable in a fixed position, while turning the tensioning nut with a 7/16 inch wrench. Begin with the center cable run and tighten the tensioning nut until the cable is snug. Work away from the center cable run as shown in the instructions. Make any final adjustments to the cable tension to ensure all cables are tight and relatively equal in tension. With all the cables tensioned properly, hand tighten the lock nuts onto the stud ends. With a 7/16 inch wrench holding the tensioning nut in place, fully tighten the lock nut using a 3/8 inch wrench. Cut the stud ends flush with the outside of the lock nuts. Be careful not to scratch or damage the post during this process. Place the cover nuts over the assembly firmly until each is flush with the post. Here is a closer look at how the HandiSwage studs are hand swaged onto the cable, along with a view of how the assembly components are installed, cut, and capped off. As a final step, use the grommet install tool to install the cable grommets wherever cable passes through the posts and cable stabilizers. There are two different size grommets. Make sure to use the longer grommets on posts and the shorter grommets on cable stabilizers. Your Nova 2 level section railing system is now complete. For detailed instructions and system specifications, please visit www.atlantisrail.com.